Someone wise recently said a failure is just feedback. Hi, I'm Angel. Thanks for stopping by. I want to tell you about my feedback failures of the Head Hutt. Uh, there are several. I embrace them. They are dear to me. This whole structure has been quite the learning experience, which I am in the process of documenting into a picture book. You can probably find something more about that down in the description any minute now. So one of them was some of these decorative paper papercrete feather eyelash leaves, which are purely decorative and did snap off a couple of times now in the wind. You can see I did a repair a while back, and then I had a second breakage. I actually had some break over here, just one actually broke over here in a hailstorm. So those are easy to repair and live and learn. I will probably make them a little more sturdy next time. Another thing is just that my makeshift opening closures, all of which I made with like cheap 1x2 lumber and some found scavenged, ow, scavenged pallets for free. And so some of them are pretty warped. They're all pretty fairly not that great craftswomanship because I'm not a carpenter yet, but I did learn lots, and they are successful in that I was looking for some quick, relatively inexpensive method for closure and low tech. And they are all that. I routed out the edges and put in this Lexan, which is like a plasticky stuff. It's pretty good. All in all, easy to work with. So I don't know if it's a good failure and a success. I didn't compress these front batches here over my tire wall and insulation, so I had some cracking that happened right away initially, and again, an easy fix, but could be considered a failure. I used a really soft mix here on my entryway with just a lot of paper, and since I come in this way a lot, you can see I've had some breakage. Somebody stepped on the edge of it and crumbled it, and it was only a matter of time till that happened. See, I've got some cracking here. I did attach with nails this, so I could pull it off and replace it, but I might just go over it with a harder concrete mix and make a more formidable step there with maybe some stone and some concrete. Moving on to some of my other favorite failures in this Head Hutt structure, probably the most significant and potentially disastrous, if there is such a thing in this beautiful thing. Mistake was that I didn't put concrete in my mix, and I used a lot of weird angles in my dome. I put glass at weird angles, which in hindsight, now that I know what I know, you shouldn't do. But I spent a lot of time planning out that front. To me, it's eyebrows and a butterfly, because I like to imagine melding things together in my creative mind. So that causes some leakage from outside during the raining season, has caused some expansion and contraction into that paper adobe lime infill, and causes me a little worry as I see these cracks expanding just a little. It's been about 4 or 5 years now, and I don't know if you can see, they're starting to get a little significant. They're not like in danger of falling. In my interior lime pumice paper and engineering fibers plaster is quite successful. It's quite hard, and even when it gets wet, it doesn't soften up. So I'm not really worried about collapse unless somebody were like jumping up there a lot. But I do climb up there some, and I am gonna be repairing that soon with some same stuff. I'm gonna repair those exterior cracks and see how that works out. Another failure is that I made some solar, I put in some solar LED yard lights on some of these glass bottles on the top, and some of them have blown open and gotten crap in there, or a little bit of moisture and mold. And you can see some of my bottles. Here's probably the worst example. Up, see between those two green ones and below the blue one, there's what should be a white one. It has a lot of mold in it. That happened from not sealing up so each of these dots is 2 bottoms of bottles put together, and some of them, especially because I put them at the angle, you can see here is several that have got water in them right at the start. There were a few that I actually drilled little holes in to let the water out, and that does work, but it's very labor intensive. And you could take them out. These I actually wired into the structure, kind of in hindsight, you know, maybe not the best idea. Here's another one up here above that green one. You can see one of my diamonds has some mold in it. And most of them just got a little moisture and didn't mold. Lots of them are fine and didn't get any moisture, but again, hindsight, aside from not putting them at an angle, if I were going to put them at an angle for any reason, or even on these sides, I would be a little more careful to make sure they're level and not at an angle, and also to seal up that seam between the two bottles, at least during construction. Like once everything's dry, it matters less, although I think in this case, because of the angle and the tendency for moisture to run down the glass, it was kind of inevitable that there would be some breaches, but I could have done a better job of minimizing that. A live and learn moment. Yeah, initially kind of related to that, I was going to hang a hanging round bed from up there, and then I, because of the structural question mark with these cracks and because of what I used as infill, I decided to hang my bed from the lower level. Let's see if I can take you down here. I made this part of the dome a little close. People, like, I know it well, so I've already hit my head a few times and now I don't, but new people coming down often do hit their head. You can see the nice back side of the wall. I'm pretty happy with my designs. They were free-handed. I did work them out on some Lexan, some sort of semi-clear plastic stuff, but then I ended up just kind of freehanding it. But I knew I wanted, like, that's the mind, the star, the infinite mind and space with stars back there, and then on the sides I have spirals. Can't really see them from this angle, but they were like, could have been better, but fairly successful. You can see I have some solar lighting going on over there. I'm gonna take you down here. I guess if I were any failure in through here, I would say I kind of makeshifted this bed over this, so I thought there was gonna be more light down here, and I was gonna do a aquaponics experiment, and still maybe that could happen. But what I found was there wasn't as much light coming through that top portion that I did with the bottle wall, nor the front. And so I ended up changing my mind. And as I mentioned, now I'm thinking I might put a hanging bed down here. It stays nice and cool in the summer and nice and warm in the winter. And so I wouldn't really call them failures, but they were areas where I changed my mind a lot with regards to the steps coming down. There were twice as many. I pulled them out. There was a lot of dirt. And again, that's kind of both a success and a failure. This is remnants of my retaining wall. And then I built onto that some more formidable steps, and I've changed my mind a lot about what I was doing here, but all in all, am pretty happy with it as it's coming along. It's a little funky, but it's a learning project. So, oh, I know one of my favorite failures is that I did not put insulation outside of that. So there's a tire retaining wall made out of rammed earth in tires all along that hole, and it's a great amount of mass. That's why it's passively, it's controlling the temperature pretty well down there, mitigating it by about at least 20 degrees warmer in the winter and 20 degrees cooler in the summer, because the earth stays about 55 degrees or so when you really get down into it. However, now knowing what I know, which I didn't know when I started it, among many other things, I didn't even know how to plumb a line or really use a level well. I knew how to use a level, but not like on the up-down plumb way. Anyway, if you're interested in learning some details like that, check out some stuff I have. Just put that little plug in there. But I did not insulate behind that tire wall because I didn't really think it was necessary. And it's not necessary, but knowing now what I know after studying with the Earthship crew and really seeing how a true Earthship, which this is not, this is, I call an Earthship inspired Mega-Sculpture, and a true Earthship works much more like a battery. So there's insulation behind that thermal mass wall, and temperature is stored in that and then kicked back into the space when the temperature gets hotter or cooler, depending, the way that heat transfers is always running to the cooler space. So you get heat stored in those walls. Now maybe it's not as cool in the summer, and it'd be fun to build if I had like all the time in the world and a bunch of human interns perhaps. I would love to build some side-by-side underground structures and just compare with, compare temperature and moisture and all that kind of neat detail. And perhaps I'll get a chance to do that. If you're interested in helping me with something like that, please do get in touch with me, because I got lots going on, and that is one of the things I'm real passionate about, is temperature control without using a lot of utilities as we run into climate change here. Just going to show you another, that's my run through of my favorite failures so far in the Head Hutt. If you're interested, I have a whole series on how I built the Head Hutt. I'm in the process of publishing my picture book on how I built the Head Hutt. I have a storybook about why I built the Head Hutt and my vision for the future, which is a global performing artist exchange program and a network of Unity Play Centers. So stay tuned for more on that. Get in touch with me. If you want to get in touch with me, check out the description for ways you can support me. And as always, I'm going to come out here with Safi Cat because it's warm, and wish you love, laughter, lightheartedness, good friends, excellent adventures. Don't forget to play every day.